This Transformers 96 here, in the video I'm going to be talking about some newly shown images of the new Marvel Legends lineup for Civil War, basically. So, I did talk about some of this stuff earlier in a past video when they released the official images for Captain America, Iron Man, and Black Panther, the movie versions from Civil War. Now we are getting some images and some details about the rest of the assortment, as well as even possible Wave 2 for it. So, let's talk about it. In that video, I did make a prediction that the Build-A-Figure would be the movie Giant Man, and that prediction has come true. I am right. It is the Ant-Man basically in his Giant Man form, which is really awesome. I was really hoping for that, so I am very happy that that is true now. So very excited about that. We do, obviously, the way that we know that is by this image, which is basically the back of the package of Marvel Legends that's had a picture taken of it and it says confidential on it, which was blocking a little bit of the images, but it still is very well legible and everything. So in this assortment, we have the 3 movie characters like we've seen in great detail, and then we also have 3 other characters, all of them comic. It's Nuke, Nick Fury, and then Red Guardian, which is an interesting lineup. You know, I don't quite know how all of these characters fit in with the Civil War storyline, if they even do. However, Nuke has just been on the Jessica Jones Netflix show, so it is cool to get a comic version of him. Obviously, Nick Fury is you know, obviously super well-known character, and to have a nice classic version of him is pretty cool. Red Guardian I don't really know much about. Looks slightly interesting, and he's the only one that we really haven't seen a good solid picture of yet, so can't talk about too much about him. I would imagine he'll just be a repainted body with a different head sculpt, and nothing too special, at least in my opinion. The Ant-Man, Giant Man Build-A-Figure looks great, and of late, recently, they've seemed to do about 7 figures in each wave, and this one is back to their normal 6, which is quite nice, that we don't have to buy 7 figures to build the Build-A-Figure, but we only need to buy 6. As you can see, looking great. Don't know how big it's going to be yet. A lot of people are predicting that it's going to be about the same size as the Giant Man that came in the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive series of Ant-Man figures for the release of the Ant-Man movie. You know, they were all comic styled, but I would imagine that it'll be about that height, which is quite big. I believe a normal 6-inch figure came up to only about the thigh or the waist of that figure, so there is a chance that this will be a very large Build-A-Figure, or, you know, there is always the chance it'll be about Groot size, which isn't too massive, so we'll have to see. I hope it's a big one, and he's obviously quite skinny, so they could make him really big and not have to spend too much money to do that, so I will be excited for that. Looking like a great wave. I basically buy all the Marvel Legends waves, but this is definitely one that I'm looking forward to, and I love the movie characters, so to have half the wave be movie characters is really nice. But there were, of course, many movie characters I wanted to see get made in a Marvel Legends scale from Civil War that aren't in this wave. However, there is a list that was released with this, and I am not quite sure if this list is official. Toy Arc posted this picture of this list along with that other picture, which is official. So, and they didn't say anything about this being, you know, unconfirmed or anything. So, I'm not quite sure how reliable this list is going to turn out. But I'm going to just speak as like it is confirmed, basically. So, this could just be a fake list or one that doesn't have much bearing. But but possibly it is actually the list for the Civil War assortment, Wave 1 and 2. We'll have to see. So, first of all, we've got a lot of names here. Let's narrow it down a bit. There are a couple like Combat Blue, Hero Battle Red, Age of X, Hero Ace Red 2. You know, there are names like that which are like code names, I guess. They're kind of to hide the true identity of the figure. So if we remove that, we're left with these. And of this assortment, there are 2 that are actually from the Civil War Marvel Legends wave that we just discussed, which is Nick Fury and Red Guardian. So if we remove those, these are the new actual names on the list. There's King Cobra, Iron Skull, Captain Britain, Crossbones, and Scarlet Witch. So, if you don't know who these characters are, here's a little kind of image of all of them. First of all, Iron Skull really doesn't have any bearings in the comics, at least from what I could find. I've never, you know, Red Skull's kind of armored look, I've only ever seen like in cartoons and stuff, so I'm not quite sure if this is just kind of like a basically a figure based off of the cartoons, or if there was some obscure, you know, Red Skull in an Iron Man costume that has been in the comics or something. I'm not quite sure, but I love Red Skull figures, and having an armor Red Skull sounds cool to me, so I will be excited for that one. King Cobra, as you can see, bottom left corner, I don't really know much about, other than the fact that he is part of the Society of, the Serpent Society, which is cool because in this previous wave, the newest wave that's out at the moment, has Cottonmouth in it, which he's also from that group. So to have another member of the group will be really cool. And the figure, the character itself looks quite interesting. Looks like he has a really kind of neat head gown type of thing and a cape and everything. So I'll be interested to see how much of that is a completely new sculpt, or if they will just try to you know, do him without some of that detail so that they could just save on money by just repainting another a previous just regular body. So we'll have to see. Captain Britain, I've never been a huge fan of. I don't know much about him. I would assume that he's just basically like the Captain America version, but in Britain, basically. I'm not quite sure. He's got an interesting look, obviously representing the kind of Britain flag, just as Captain America has a look that represents the American flag. So it does make sense, and you know, I'm sure that that's going to be a pretty boring figure. It'll just be a straight up repaint of a just, you know, normal size body sculpt that we see a million times from Marvel Legends, probably the Bucky cat mold. So we'll have to see. You know, I'm not too interested in that one, but you know, it could be cool. Now, the two most interesting names on that list are Crossbones and Scarlet Witch. These obviously are both going to be in Civil War, and they also obviously are both in the comics, so we don't know if they are a comic representation of the character or a movie representation. That list doesn't hint to that whatsoever. So there's two different possibilities, obviously either comic or a movie. As you can see, I have their comic images on the left, their movie images on the right, and yeah, I really hope they are a movie, and I think that there is a better chance that they're movie versions rather than comic, because mainly it's for Scarlet Witch, because Scarlet Witch, a classic comic representation of her in the Marvel Legends series, did come out last year, the first wave of 2015, so it would be quite strange for them to redo that just a year later, so I can't imagine they do that. So the only two possibilities are either they pick a really obscure costume from her in the comics, or it is actually the movie version. Scarlet Witch's costume, you really don't see too many different representations of that. It's basically that one design, obviously drawn by different people, but her costume doesn't change from series to series, it seems. So I would imagine that there's a very good chance that that is a movie Scarlet Witch figure, which I'll be stoked about. Obviously a huge character in the Marvel Universe, or Marvel Cinematic Universe at the moment, so I am really excited to actually get some movie figures of her, considering the Age of Ultron line was completely lacking in the movie figures, so that would be great to get. Then there's Crossbones. Crossbones could go either way. There was a figure of him made in the Marvel Legends scale not too long ago. However, it was a it was a Comic-Con exclusive figure that came in a 5-pack with other figures, and it's not like his classic, what I would say, representation of Crossbones. I think that it obviously does represent the comic book Crossbones, but there's been kind of different incarnations of him, or at least different costumes. So, you know, the fact that we do already have a toy of the comic Crossbones, I don't think guarantees that this one won't be a comic Crossbones again, because they could obviously just make him for the mass market and not an exclusive, and put him in a different costume. I would love for it to be a movie version of it, though, because I love Crossbones, so I'd be happy with the comic version, but I would much prefer the movie version. I think that his movie costume just looks amazing, and I am really dying to get some figures of him, so we'll have to see on this. This list might not be real, but some of the characters on it, I mean, they sound pretty, reliable, I guess. Toy Arc hasn't been reporting this as a rumor or anything, so I'm not quite sure. We'll have to wait and see. I would imagine that this will be either confirmed or denied, basically, at Toy Fair this month, actually, in New York. I love the New York Toy Fair. So many great toy pictures come out, and they are setting up for that. And here's what they're setting up. There we go. Sorry, it took forever. they are setting up the first wave, at least, of Civil War Marvel Legends figures. As you can see, looking great. Just talking about the Nick Fury, like we saw in that preview picture, is looking really good. Seems to use the same basic body sculpt. However, seems like the upper part of the gloves is actually a new little piece that's been added on, which looks nice. And then the vests and the leg holster, they do look new. I can't identify them as being from a different figure. However, they may definitely be from another figure. I'm not sure. The gun looks new as well. You know, I don't recognize it completely. However, it could definitely be from a different figure. And it comes with 3 head sculpts, which is really cool. Classic Nick Fury with the eye patch. Another head sculpt that I don't really know what that is. If that's Nick Fury before he, you know, gets the eye patch, and it's like a younger version of him. And then there's also like a helmeted breathing type of helmet there. I'm not quite sure if either of those helmets are meant to actually just make this figure like a shield soldier, or if they are specifically meant for Nick Fury, like different looks of Nick Fury, but we'll have to see. I think that you could, you know, get a few of these and kind of army build a shield type of lineup. Next to that, we have Black Panther. As you can see, we have official images of him, so seeing him there doesn't really mean much. However, you do see in the package behind him, he is going to come with a second head sculpt, which is great, an unmasked head, so that's very exciting. That figure looks great anyway, so to get that extra head sculpt is definitely just an extra bonus. Then there's Mark 46. As you can see behind him, we've seen that he comes with the repulsor blast hands with the actual physical repulsor blast, which is really cool. I've been looking forward to that. And he will come with an extra set of fists, as well as if you don't want him to actually be shooting the repulsors, they are removable, so that is quite nice. You can have different looks. And then that Nick Fury picture to the left, you can see Nuke's packaging, you can see his arm in there. I haven't been able to find a picture of him at this event yet, but we do have this picture, which is like an official image of him that was taken quite a long time ago. It was shown at the Comic-Con, I believe, in June, or sorry, July, I believe. So I'm not quite sure how long ago this picture was fully released, but we do now know that he is part of the Civil War line. The figure itself looks really good. I mean, it seems like there's a lot of new pieces to it. The pants I don't recognize from being from any other figure. They might be reused, but I'm not quite sure. The vest looks new. The head sculpt is obviously new, and then the arms could be reused. I'm not sure about that. They don't look super unique. He comes with 2 weapons, at least in this picture. One is a gun that's just repainted from the AIM soldier, and then that knife is repainted from Drax. So seems like it comes with reused accessories, but most of the body, from what I can see, looks new, so that is quite nice. But it also, you know, when Hasbro designs a new body sculpt for a figure, typically they have other characters in mind that can use that body, and one figure that could definitely reuse that body is Crossbones. So that is another reason why the Crossbones on that list may not be 100% the movie Crossbones, and could just be a comic version, because they could definitely reuse this body, even probably the vest, and look pretty good as a Crossbones character. So we'll have to see. Toy Fair is approaching, you know, in like a week or 2, I believe, so very excited to see the toys there. I'll definitely be talking about them. Hope that we get to see the Giant Man on display, as well as I hope we see the second series on display, and hopefully this list is confirmed, because I would love a movie Crossbones and a movie Scarlet Witch. The others, you know, I'm fine with or without, but the movie versions of those I definitely love to get, and I do hope to expand the Marvel Cinematic Universe collection in the Marvel Legends scale, so hopefully that is the case, and there you go. That's my thoughts on these newly shown images for Marvel Legends, and thanks so much for watching.